getting that squared away for you as well. So definitely keep that in mind going forward. All right. So let's get down to business. Bittersweet this week. Didn't go this way. Good went football went well. At least the Ravens, not the Terps. Orioles disappointing, and we're gonna have a little different Orioles report. We're gonna talk a lot about what's gonna happen here with our content here in the off season with the Orioles and all that, etc. But we got a Ravens victory on Sunday night, 35-10. Ravens over the Buffalo Bills in this one. This was a good old-fashioned butt kicking, as they say. Not close. Ravens were dominant pretty much from start to finish. I saw some stuff. Bills were fraud. No, this is a good Bills team they beat up. I don't know if they're better than they were last year or elite to the point, but this is a good Bills team. They had a good first three games as well. They just didn't have it at all Sunday. Ravens just beat them up on the line of scrimmage all night long. Josh Allen was having an MVP season before Sunday. I thought he was probably MVP. He's probably still in the consideration for it right now. Not horrible. 16 for 29, 180. He didn't do much. I didn't think. I think he ran the ball a little bit. When you're going against a Josh Allen, this is about as good as you're going to see. 16, 29, 180 yards. That's about what you're going to do against a Josh Allen. That's the best you're going to do as well. I think their receivers, I kind of warned everybody, hey, look, they're without Stephon Diggs there's a problem. Their receivers can't separate like that. They're going to have some issues. Ravens run defense was stout. James Cook, 9 carries, 39 yards. You can't run the ball on the Ravens. Can't run on them. Can't run on them. They're the number one rush defense in the league by a good margin. I mean, they're like under 60 yards per game where teams are getting on them. That's a good back. He didn't get anything. Their run game was nothing. Even Josh Allen on their team, they didn't do much in the run game. Ravens were stopped. They were pushing the offensive line back. There was a couple injuries I think they had, but it was outstanding stuff by the Ravens on offense. Khalil Shakir, I think so far he's been their best receiver as well. He's not a Stephon Diggs. I mean, he's a pretty good number 2, number 3 receiver on a good team as well. He's been the number 1 receiver. Curtis Samuel has been disappointing, I think, for them. Keon Coleman has been still. He's a bit of a rookie, second-round rookie, still kind of working his way in. So they didn't get a lot to Kincaid. The Ravens kind of took the middle of the field away as strategy, and it worked. They really couldn't respond much to that. Not a lot of pressure. Dorian Williams did have 12 tackles as well. So they play a lot of nickel. So he got he did get some action. So he had 12 tackles. Not much to speak of on them for defense at all. Von Miller, who, by the way, he's got himself suspended for 4 games due to detrimental conduct off the field here. Didn't do much in the game either. I thought the Ravens actually held their own on defense on the offensive line. As far as I get on the right side, Falele's still bad, but they figured it out. Hey, look, get Ricard over there on that side, give them some help, etc. They were good. Lamar, 13 of 18, 156, 2 TDs. Lamar's outstanding. I mean, we all know this. Ball barely hit the ground. 156, 2 touchdowns. I think the sky's the limit now with Lamar. I think they are getting now. I would say about the line, pocket did look better a lot. They did have McCarry in for Voorhees in this game. Let's see if they leave him there. I don't know if they will, but let's see if they leave him there. The pocket did look better. I thought Lamar, this game more than any of the other games, had pockets to throw. I would say they are having a lot of big personnel to cover that issue up on the right side. But I think maybe that's starting to get better on the right side. Well, not the right side. I thought Rosa Garden was fine. Falele is still getting getting destroyed. But I think that overall, I think the pockets and everything look better, more time to throw, but they're giving a lot of max protect for Lamar. This was the star of the show, the leading rusher in the NFL, Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 199, broke one for 80-plus yards at the beginning, longest rush in Ravens history at the start. Just outstanding stuff. I mean, the guy put Tyler Rapp in out of the game, trying to leg tackle this guy. He's terrific. No question about it. This was the first game where I said and I saw what the league feared when they signed Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry's as good as he's been throughout his career in Tennessee. He's had okay quarterbacks. He had Will Levis last year. He had Tannehill for a lot of his tenure, etc. No disrespect to those guys, but they're not a Lamar Jackson. You cannot focus as much on a Derrick Henry. And now Lamar Jackson back there. You can't do it. That first run, you saw it right away. They went ahead, didn't know if this was going to Lamar. There was a lot of watching Lamar. By the time they realized that Henry's halfway up the field for 20 yards up the field. So Derrick Henry obviously was terrific in this game. Justice Hill was terrific too. I'm telling you, they signed him to an extension, 3 years. I think it was 2 years, $6 million. I think $3 million a year. Money well spent. I think this is the best I can remember Justice Hill. I put this on Twitter and Facebook, and somebody was like, "Well, he was good last year." I think he's even better now. I'm saying that also too, not just the catching out of the backfield and the running the ball. He's always had for that. But what he's also doing this year now is he is blocking big time. So I think that's a factor. Problems with protection, et cetera, et cetera. Max protect, you could put Justice Hill in. He's doing great. 6 carries, 6 receptions, 78 yards, 1 TD. He's been terrific. So receiving core, still not getting a lot, but he was the leading receiver. I definitely put him there. Justice Hill, 1 TD. Kyle Van Noy. You got to love Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy is having a terrific season. If you guys saw him blow up that outside run by Josh Allen in the game Sunday, he was fantastic. The thing I like about him better than Jadeveon Clowney playing more is Jadeveon used to drive me crazy. As much as people like Jadeveon Clowney last year at outside linebacker, Jadeveon was a freakish athlete, tremendous physique and all that other fun stuff. But this guy plays football, sets the edge all the time. That's why he blew that play up on Allen and stuff like that. They're getting a lot of push inside. Matabuke and Travis Jones are really destroying the game inside, and it's just making it easy for Van Noy just to gobble it up on the outside. Also, too great in the run game, great all around. So shout out to Kyle Van Noy. Outstanding season he's having. So this wasn't even close here. 35-10, Ravens all over the Bills. I definitely think this kind of rights the ship. Now, again, you're still 2-2. So you need this game coming up still, and it's a division game. So it matters. So let's see how the Ravens do in this one against the Cincinnati Bengals. Bill Belichick said it on the Cincinnati. Belichick was always ducking. He was just a total jerk in press conferences forever in New England. Like he didn't answer no questions, wasted everybody's time. And so somebody asked him in the press conference about something else on the Cincinnati. We're talking about anyway. All right, so what are you going to see in this game? Healthy Lamar Jackson. By the way, the report today looked good. I mean, as far as for week 5 injury report, Arthur Millette came back. A couple guys, they didn't look bad. I mean, a couple guys were limited today before Wednesday practice. It looked kind of light, considering the way it usually looks in the NFL a lot of times, especially the Ravens in more recent years. So 858 yards, 5 TDs, 1 interception for Lamar. I think that's his season been. I think like For once now, no longer the leading rusher, right? So he's got Derrick Henry as the leading rusher. Not only is Derrick is the leading rusher in the entire NFL, almost at 500 yards in 4 games, 80 carries, 480 yards, 5 TDs. Derrick Henry's been a monster. We know this. I think give the ball to Henry 20 times, 20 carries a game. You don't need to give it to him 30 times, but make sure he's constantly. They're kind of figuring that out now. Again, they were ahead in the last 2 games, so that helps. But none of that in-out stuff. Kind of feeding the beast, letting him do his thing. That's what you do. I think it is though at the expense of the receivers. They're running a lot of big packages. The leading receivers, Zay Flowers, 17 carries, 17 receptions, 158, 1 TD. Zay Flowers looks like for him, he's being used as decoy a lot. So they're running. I saw a lot of stuff they were doing with Henry and Justice Hill, stuff like that. And Zay Flowers was running motion around there. So he was doing that a lot. Also, to Bateman, I see a lot of him on 9 routes. So they're just sending him deep like all the time when it breaks down. Interesting to see. Andrews doesn't look right to me. And I keep saying that. I'm not saying get rid of him or anything like that. I've seen some get rid of him, and I'm not going that far. But he does not look right. Doesn't look right. Now, to his credit, and talking about Andrews, I don't think it's just that. I think also, too, the max protect stuff they're doing a lot. They're using him more as a blocker. So I think that's part of it, too. Kyle Van Noy with 6 sacks. We just talked about Van Noy last week. He's been terrific. He's had 2 sacks, 2 consecutive weeks. So this is, I think this is exactly Raven-like. This is exactly what they want. Here's a guy over 30, hungry, hasn't won a title in a long time. Fairly inexpensive, still effective on the field, fit into. This is exactly what the Ravens like to see, a guy like this, Kyle Van Noy. Joe Burrow, 978 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. The Bengals get off to such slow starts year after year. So I'm not throwing dirt on the Bengals yet. Burrow, I think, he's still really good. I think there's some concern because they're not, the elevation hasn't been there. I think kind of like Jacksonville to a certain extent. I think like fan base, etc., expected more out of Burrow, expected more out of the fan base, expected more out of him. But Joe Burrow, let's not get it twisted. I mean, Joe Burrow is still really good if healthy as well. So definitely not too. The numbers of him and Lamar are not that far apart. Zach Moss, 48 carries, 187, 2 TDs. I kind of said this. I thought one of the most underrated backs, and it is in the league, was Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon really did a good job for a lot of years for the Bengals. They put Zach Moss in, and I think this is kind of what they're getting. Not as much production, nearly as much that we're getting. They're getting, I think, like with a Zach Moss, you're going to get some run game. I don't know how effective he's going to be as good as that Ravens front has looked. I don't think so. I really think that he's going to have hard time. All the teams are having a hard time against the Ravens in their front. Jamar Chase, I don't know if I have him as the best receiver in the NFL anymore, but he's certainly right up there. 19 carries, 300 yards. He's definitely been their best receiver this year. Definitely making it a good case. The Ravens, I would say their secondary was much better in the last game. They kind of, and not to be unfair, like, but the Bills receivers and this 2 group that they have in Cincinnati, it's like oceans apart. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Now they no longer have Tyler Boyd, and so I think it's a little bit easier to focus on these guys. I think you're going to see a lot of double coverage, things like that, but it is going to be a much tougher day against these group receivers. It's hard to have Jamar Chase hold him down for a game, and Trey Hendrickson, I think, is an outstanding pass rusher. He reminds me so much of former Raven Michael McCrary whenever I watch him. The motor's always going. Like Crosby was kind of the same guy. Motor's always going. You never see Trey Hendrickson just knee down on the side. So, always playing hard, always moving. Not a great pass, not a great run stopper at all, but pass rush, outstanding. Definitely had to protect that Falele problem over there. And with Trey Henderson, keep your eye on him as well. But again, not as much overall pass rush run defenses kind of struggled a little bit in Cincinnati overall this year, especially their back end having problems again. They had problems on that back end forever. Last year they were a little bit, but they were really bad this year. X Factor, Mark Andrews. We're going to X Mark Andrews. I don't know what's going on with Mark. I think some of it is it's the scheme. I think some of it is he can't do what he wants to do because they're playing 3 tight ends a lot. They're playing fullback a lot. So I think that's part of it, in my opinion. So I do think that. I think some of it is he's not all 100%. And I don't know why that is or what the reason for it is. But he's not, he doesn't look himself. Arthur Millette is practicing this week. I don't know if he'll play. John Harbaugh certainly seemed confident that Millette, if in the presser this week, will go ahead and play. I definitely feel that Millette will get a shot. Interesting to see what roster move goes with it. Interesting to see if he plays, how well does he play if he plays. Definitely X factor there. Ravens win this football game, 28-14. Ravens have the number 1 offense in the NFL. They're figuring it out with Henry. I think you're going to see, if they're smart, they're running a lot of carries for him every game. A lot of carries for him every game. Learn how to spread out the ball. I think you still, even with the Henry production, got to spread it out to your receivers a little bit more. Use Mark Andrews a little bit more. Use Zay Flowers a little bit more. I think you can do. I think there's some belief you can't do both for some reason. That you can't throw the ball. That you can't throw the ball and run the ball in a game. That's just not true. You can have a game. You had Henry get some carries, spread it out a little bit, get them involved early. But I think they win. Cincinnati's problems, I think, on defense are really not. I don't see them stopping the Ravens' offense in this one. Really have problems on the defense. Really don't stop the run well. They're having trouble. Logan Wilson has not been great this year. Their secondary, even with our guy Geno Stone, it hasn't shown up. So interesting to see how this goes. 28-14 Ravens over the Bengals in this one. There you go. All right. So Ravens over the Bengals in this one, 28-14. They needed that win last week. That game last Sunday night was just about as big as the other ones that they had. So definitely shout out to the Ravens getting that done. 2-2. We got one team still got games left and going. All right.